How to get rid of any addiction using manifestations. A lot of you are struggling with addiction. Maybe you're addicted to jerking off. Maybe you're addicted to weed, alcohol. You're addicted to drugs. You could really be addicted to anything. You're addicted to video games. You're addicted to having bad habits. You literally can be addicted to anything, right? And a lot of you, the reason you struggle with addiction is because you do not know how addiction works. You don't even know why you're addicted. You do not understand the energetic and invisible reasons behind why you're addicted. And all of you watching this video, make sure you watch the entire thing through. If you're struggling with an addiction and you watch this video, I absolutely guarantee you that you're not going to have the addiction anymore if you do exactly what I tell you to do. So make sure you watch the entire video. How to get rid of any addiction using manifestation, right? So let me erase this real quick. Do not click off the video because I'm erasing the board, you guys with your short attention spans, right? So how to get rid of any addictions using manifestation. So you have to understand that everything that you experience in physical reality is a mirror, and that which it is mirroring is your frequency. Everything in physical reality is a reflection of your frequency. So let's say this right here is physical reality, right? So this is physical reality. All right, so this is physical reality, right? And then this right here is your frequency. Frequency. All right, so this is your frequency. This is physical reality, right? So let me draw a little frequency. This is a little something invisible. You can't see it with your eyes, right? So physical reality is a mirror, and it's a reflection of the frequency that you're vibrating on, right? So this physical reality is a reflection, right? So you have to understand that it doesn't matter what addiction you have. Whatever addiction that you have, it's because of this frequency. Somehow, some way, it doesn't matter, but somehow you've shifted into the frequency where you are addicted to whatever it is that you are doing, right? For example, if someone has an addiction, they feel a strong, intense desire to do this thing before it's even happened yet. There is something happening energetically. There's something happening on a metaphysical, invisible level that you just are not aware of before whatever it is that happens materializes here. Another way that you can explain it is it's like you're possessed by your frequency, right? So let's say someone has an addiction. Does it feel like it's like you might not consciously want to do something, but it feels like something invisible is possessing you and it's compelling you to take this certain action, to do this certain thing that you consciously don't want to do, right? So you have to understand that's because of your frequency. You can also think of your frequency as an energetic entity, right? Some people call it thought forms. Some people call them psychic entities, egregores. They could be anything. So let's, for this analogy, think of your frequency as a thought form that exists in the mental plane. Think of this frequency as a thought form. It exists and it's conscious. And it's like this frequency, this thought form, right? It's possessing you to act in a certain way, to take a certain action, which is why a lot of the times people have addictions, they feel like they have to do whatever it is that they're addicted to, right? But you have to understand that if we're able to cut the root cause, which is the frequency, then physical reality is going to reflect that change, right? So let's say someone is addicted to smoking, right? Smoking cigarettes, they want to stop smoking cigarettes for whatever reason, right? Understand that the reason you are smoking cigarettes all the time, it's because of the frequency you're vibrating at. You're vibrating at the frequency you need to be vibrating at that makes you feel like you really, really, really need to smoke cigarettes, right? So you have to understand, let's say this is the frequency of cigarette smoking, right? And then let's say you have this person and they're smoking a big cigarette. Look at that. Look at that juicy cigarette right there. They love it, right? Look how happy they are smoking that cigarette, right? But they want to stop smoking cigarettes, but they can't stop, right? So what they need to do is change the frequency, and when they change the frequency, that the physical reality is going to reflect that change, right? They manifest into a different reality. They're manifest. You literally can manifest your addictions away, right? So for example, let's say this person is addicted to smoking cigarettes, right? And then they watch this YouTube video. They're like, this Melvin guy, he knows what he's talking about. Let me try to change my frequency first. So he does what he needs to do, and then he begins changing the frequency, right? So let's say this is a smoking frequency, right? Smoking frequency. So right now he's vibrating at a smoking frequency. But then he begins to do the internal work. He changes his state of being, he changes his state of consciousness, and he begins to do the things that he needs to do that allows him to change his frequency, right? Now he's vibrating at a different frequency, right? Now he's vibrating at the frequency of the version of him that doesn't have a smoking addiction. So he changes this frequency, right? This is a no smoking frequency. No smoking, right? So what's happening is when you shift your frequency, you shift your reality, you shift your identity, you're changing your self-image, right? So when he changes the frequency as well, he's changing his self-image. He's literally shifting into the version of him that doesn't like smoking. He's shifting into the version of him that doesn't have that smoking addiction as his identity. So now that he's shifted his frequency, guess what? No more smoking. He doesn't have the desire. And a lot of people don't realize how crazy this is, because this doesn't happen all the time. But if you understand, and if you know how to shift your frequency properly, and you understand how to shift your frequency correctly, you can literally, essentially, get rid of the addiction instantly. And the reason you get rid of the addiction instantly is because you literally shift into the version of yourself that never had that addiction. Now, we can go into different timelines, and each frequency is a different reality. We're not going to go into it too deeply. All we can say is, if you understand how to reprogram your subconscious mind correctly, you can actually get rid of the addiction almost instantly. Now, this doesn't happen all of the time. Some people are going to have to wait, right? Some people, they have to go through that waiting process. It doesn't happen instantly. But eventually, if he is able to maintain this frequency of not smoking, physical reality will reflect that change. And then guess what? Now, someone says, hey, you want to smoke? This one guy right here says, hey, you want to smoke? You want a cigarette? He says, no. No. Right? Here's the little cigarette. He says, no, I don't smoke anymore. And what's crazy about this as well, this is what people don't realize. The urges that you have to smoke, right? The urges that someone has to smoke, they don't exist anymore. Once you shift your frequency, you're not going to feel like smoking. You're not going to have that addiction. You're not even going to want it. In fact, you can install let's say someone has a smoking addiction, right? You can actually install a program into your subconscious mind. You can install a program where it makes you're repulsed at the smell of smoking. You hate it. You can't even stand it. You used to be addicted to it. You can install a program where you can't even stand it anymore. I don't even like being around the smell, right? You can install this program, right? So you literally can manifest and completely reprogram your subconscious mind and manifest a different version of the reality you're currently living in, and get rid of any addiction. You can do this for anything. A lot of you addicted to jerking off porn, a lot of you addicted to smoking, a lot of you addicted to drugs. It could literally be anything. This is the quickest way to get rid of any addiction. And it's to literally just manifest yourself into a reality where you never even had the addiction to begin with. You literally can install a program into your subconscious mind where you're completely repulsed at that exact type of behavior that you used to do, right? Now, we're not going to get into it too deeply, but it's almost as if once you shift your frequency, you completely change your self-image, you completely change your identity. It's almost as if you shift into the version of you that never had that addiction to begin with. In fact, one of the craziest things about it is when you do this properly and you reprogram your subconscious mind properly and you shift your frequency correctly, you might look back and it might feel like you never even had the addiction to begin with. You might be like, wait, is that true? I used to do that? When you reprogram your subconscious mind properly and you shift your frequency, you might even, it feels like you never even had the addiction to begin with. It's truly remarkable what can happen when you understand how to reprogram your subconscious mind, change your frequency, and manifest and shift yourself into a different reality. This is the quickest way to get rid of any addiction, right? And this is just the surface level part of it. This is just me explaining it in a simple way. I could go deeper into it, but we'll leave that for another video. There you go.